Hello and welcome to today's session. I hope you're all doing amazingly well from whichever part of the world you are watching. And I also hope that 2026 has started off on a fantastic note for you too. Speaking for myself, for me, the end of 2025 and now entering into 2026, I'm noticing an important shift both in myself and the body of work I'm producing and also the industry. It also happens to be a very key year for me in terms of a life milestone. I approach the half century mark in a few months. And while I was reflecting and having these moments of introspection last year and closing December 2025, I was looking back at the 20 plus years I've been in the industry. And it's mind blowing how much it has grown. And when I started, spa was just an additional foo foo feature that you had. And we barely had a seat at the big table. Then we saw spas not performing optimally in hotels and wellness facilities sitting empty. And then we had, I think, a distinct before and after, and that was marked by the pandemic. And then from roughly 2021 to 2025, we've seen exponential growth in the wellness industry, which has been fantastic. And I've loved to see how many people care about wellness and want it to be an important part of how they do business. And I'm obviously a very small little grain in the whole bigger industry. But even me at my small micro level, I have felt the change in the industry. And I say that because I remember pre pandemic trying to fight for the basics in very top brands in order for wellness to be taken seriously, even noticed. And now I'm with a different type of entrepreneur, that purpose led entrepreneur, where they care about wellness and how they're going to be weaving it through the entire brand DNA, the guest experience. Now, that doesn't mean they want to build full blown spa facilities or wellness facilities. What it means is that they care about how they do wellness and if it is congruent with what they want to do and why they want to do what they're doing. So when I was reflecting back in December 2025, here are the three key lessons I observed. When I wrote my book during the pandemic and published it in April 2021, I called it the book strategically The Wellness Asset, How Wellness Can Transform and Future Proof Your Hotel. And I was advocating for wellness at that point. And I never ever thought that the book would have the success it has enjoyed. And I never thought people would even care about the framework that I talk about, the Essence framework, until I started to implement it in greater depth with my clients in these last 4 years. And through implementing and working with a number of boutique hotel owners or owners of pieces of land who want to do something meaningful, I have seen how powerful the model is for each of these properties. And they're in distinct parts of the world. And what I've also enjoyed when I've been working with these boutique hotel owners or owners of pieces of land, I've also noticed their thirst to do something very, very different. And they are willing to go that extra mile. And I have seen my essence framework being used several times alongside other models and frameworks within business and other visionary ideas. So it's been interesting to see how what I wrote in my book, The Wellness Asset, my model, the framework, is actually an important framework on how to do wellness successfully. So, the business of wellness. And I've also loved to see my framework be used alongside other business models and frameworks so that people can create properties and destinations that are unique and incredibly meaningful. So if I started, let's say 2020, 2021, pre these 5 years, I started with clients where I had to convince the value of wellness. And it was a very different conversation. And fast forward now, 5 years, I am so grateful for the people I'm meeting. And I'm seeing that purpose driven entrepreneur that, of course, they care about having a business that's commercially sustainable, but they don't want that business at any old cost. And when I was writing my book, I was referring to the innovative, forward thinking hoteliers, the hoteliers who are bold enough to do things differently, to better the way we're doing things, to challenge things, but not gratuitously, but with the intention to leave our industry a better place, to better the way we have been doing things. There are many things that, as a wellness and hospitality industry, we didn't do right. And one of the things we definitely didn't do right is how we're treating our people or our local communities or the land we're building on. And that's why we've seen cases of over tourism. We've seen local communities resist having new tourists in or new guests coming in. And that is the fruit of how we have done hospitality and then wellness within that. But I've also seen 2025 an increase in the number of boutique hotels owners out there, or people who want a piece of land, who probably don't associate themselves with being a hotelier. But there are people who want to steward that hospitality off their local destination. And they want to create something that will be this landmark in the community for generations to come. And for me, these last 5 years have been pivotal. Obviously, 2021, you publish a book, you write a book, and then publish it, go through all that process. That changed me and my methodology and how I work with my clients. And after my book was published, it opened doors to a different kind of entrepreneur that I probably wouldn't have gotten in touch with, or our paths wouldn't have crossed had it not been for the book and me putting out my model to the world and sharing it. And since then, I've had the privilege of working with truly exceptional owners of land, owners of boutique hotels. And we have worked closely to create something special in each of these projects. And what's been more interesting is how these entrepreneurs have showed up for their own business and created something truly superlative because they already came with ideas to the table and they dared to do things differently. So the last 5 years, we have seen an increase in ownership of wellness assets. More and more owners want to create that wellness asset. This wellness-oriented business that attracts proud people, people who want to work in your business, people who want to do wellness the way you want them to do wellness. Businesses that deliver transformative experiences consistently, not just paying lip service to a wow hospitality experience, but genuinely delivering a transformative experience. And lastly, enjoying businesses that are commercially sustainable. And the notion of being purpose driven and making money at the same time is something I'm seeing come up. And these last few years have shown that the idea of making money, creating a business that's commercially solid and sustainable, is not mutually exclusive with a business that is purpose driven and wants to make a positive impact. So that is what I've seen happen, culminating in 2025. And I was seeing what role I play within that and seeing how my model shows both wellness leaders and founders how to create wellness businesses that are assets. And now I want to take it up a notch. As I approach this year, the half century mark, I've been reading a lot and thinking about how I want my next 10 years to look like, how I want my next 25 years to look like, and what kind of impact I want to make. And while I was on one of my long runs preparing and training for the marathon here in Madrid, I listened to a podcast. Now, I wish I remembered who it was, otherwise I'd have cited them. They mentioned that from, your 20s going on to your 40s, we have what they call fluid intelligence. So we're looking at other sources, gaining information, looking at other frameworks, and we're basically trying to develop our intelligence. And we're more flexible in the concepts, and we're absorbing different kinds of information that we want to make part of our information, our body of work. And then once you approach that half century mark, roughly, that fluid intelligence becomes crystallized intelligence. So you now don't need to look at other external resources or sources to enhance your intelligence, because you've already created your own intelligence. And that is what they call crystallized intelligence. And I found that interesting because I see that in myself. In my 20s, 30s, and even early 40s, I was devouring information, all the business, all the life information I could get my hands on. I was devouring it and learning from it, applying it, adapting it. And now I feel I've reached this point where I am achieving my own crystallized intelligence. there are very few sources out there that I would refer to because I already have that baseline of intelligence that I have developed. Now, that does not mean I can't learn anything new. I'm not saying that. What I'm trying to transmit is I now have a very solid idea of what that wellness business intelligence looks like for me and my body of work. And I would like to dedicate these next 25 years in wellness, in teaching you those models, those frameworks, those tools that I have learned and created. And I want to share those concepts with you because I know they work. I have seen it firsthand, they work. And you will see in 2026, I will be sharing a lot of these concepts. So I've been spending these last few months really sitting down with these concepts and tools I've created and working with my clients to see how it's shaping their businesses. And I want to share that with you too. And I wrote my first book 5 years ago now, nearly 5 years ago. So the 16th April, well, I published it to be more specific. I published it on 16th April 2021. And now this year, I can't believe I'm saying it publicly, but I am saying it, that you'll be seeing my second book. And I would also like to publish it in April. And that also coincides with me, crossing that half century mark and sharing with you what I'm seeing in this industry. And I don't want to spoil the surprise for you when you actually see the book, but I will say this. It's not going to be like my first book, The Wellness Asset, which was, just so you know, a very long book, very thick book. It was a process in itself to write the book. So I had one manuscript, even professionally edited, to have that rejected and have to write a new book entirely from scratch. That was an interesting experience in of itself. But I want my next book to be short, to be super concise, yet incredibly powerful. And I want it to be something that you can read in one sitting. And I also want it to be that book that each page you read, each sentence you read, you think, wow, this is gold dust. I want to reread this again. Because I just read a book. It's someone's life notes, but I've just read this book and she wrote it in such a simple yet powerful way that I thought, that's going to be my next book inspiration. So I've started to work on the outline. I have the name. I'm already lining up my book coach to help me with the entire structure of it. But in the next 3 months, crossing April, you will get my second book. And what I want to do with this book is change things slightly. Not only make it substantially shorter, I won't be sharing any new models or frameworks. That was what the Wellness Asset did and shared my essence framework. I want this to be highly inspirational so that when you read each page, each chapter, It wakens your inspiration, your innate intelligence, your desire to do what you've always wanted to do with wellness. Because one thing I've learned in these last 5 years and seeing the world go forward, there is no playbook. And thank heavens for that. Every one of you has the agency to just stop doing wellness the traditional way. You can do wellness the way you want to do it. And you can be guaranteed that there is a customer out there. There is a segment of people who would die to receive your wellness offering or your wellness services. So I want this book to spark that inspiration in you, that fire to create something you've always wanted to create, but now you finally are taking that leap, that step. So not only is it going to be simplified in terms of word count and the size, I also will not be sharing any models or frameworks. It's going to be something that you can apply and use to spark your inspiration to create your wellness business. And the third thing I want to do differently this time round is make you part of the writing process. So I will be sharing snippets and thoughts of each of the chapters as I am writing them. So you will be a co-creator in terms of the content too. Because I want to create something so special, something that we all can make ours. And it's not that playbook. It's the permission for you to go and create your own playbook. I'm just bringing that little spark and that little fire to the table. And you will be doing the rest. So I'm not sure how this is going to look going forward. It's all an experiment for me. But what I am very clear about is that we are entering a very new era. In fact, we've already entered this new era. And those who start creating their own playbooks and genuinely treating wellness as an integral part of their business, the way of doing business, the business DNA, will be the ones that will win over the next decade. I'm also very clear that I want you to be part of this process. We all collectively have such powerful knowledge, and I'd like to put that also in the book. So those are kind of in a nutshell what I have planned for you. And not only that, I also have the titles and the rough outline of the next 3 books. So I have 4 books in the making, and I'll be kicking off with my first one. And the target publish date is April this year. And this 4-part series of books, they're all going to be short, simple, and incredibly powerful. And I'm going to bring you along with me on my journey of writing these small little books that I'll be creating, this doctrine of how wellness is to be done and treated going forward. So next week, I will be revealing big picture name of what I have in mind. And then after that, I will be sharing snippets of each chapter, the big picture concepts that I'll be sharing week by week. Each chapter, I will be start revealing it week by week, and I'll be working on it. You'll be seeing my rough notes, the way my mind thinks while I'm writing that book for you. So I can't wait to get started, and I can't wait to share how I see wellness moving forward and how you can shape the industry also moving forward. So, my wellness leaders friends, I know today was a different one. I didn't quite know how to take this one. And normally my sessions are more structured. But today I just wanted to be, I guess, slightly more raw to tell you what's happening with me, where I see the wellness industry, and how I see myself showing up in this new era. So, on that inspiring note, my wellness leader friends, I wish you all a beautiful day ahead. Take care now.